One thing that caught my eye today, and I know this is not a huge news story, but these doomsday shelters, they're coming back. They're making a comeback. And I don't know whether it's because of Barack Obama or because they're afraid of the Chinese or what the deal is. But you know how USA Today and some of these other places, they have to write a novel. They can't just give you the facts. Jason Hodge, father of 4 children from Barstow, California, says he's not paranoid, but he is concerned, and that's why he bought space in what might be labeled a doomsday shelter. Now, this is not just building one at your house. It's like, those storage units. Now you're buying yourself a doomsday storage unit. You go with the rest of the crazy folks that are getting underground. Hodge bought into the first of a proposed nationwide group of 20 fortified underground shelters, the Vivos Shelter Network, that are intended to protect those inside for up to a year from catastrophes such as a nuclear attack, killer asteroids, or tsunamis, according to the project's developers. I hope that they include a pistol, because if I am locked up in a little room for a year, I'm going to blow my brains out. I'm going to be like Hitler in the bunker. I'm taking myself out. Can you imagine that? I mean, why on earth would you want to live in a bunker for a year or so?
Now, if they give me some good tunes.
But for a year?
And I hate to say this, but maybe let me smoke marijuana again. Then
there'd be nobody there to stop you, I can tell you that.
Then maybe you could put me in there and I'd be okay.
I don't know that I'd be okay at all. I mean, it's just, I can't imagine being in one of these bunkers alongside of, I guess if you're in a bunker and it's underground, you got other people to talk to, But for a year? Anyway.
Well, what if you had, like Catherine Zeta-Jones in there with you?
Well, that might be different.
Might never come out.
She might not be too happy, but it might be different. There are signs that underground shelters, almost forgotten relics of the Cold War era, are making a comeback. The Vivos Network, which offers partial ownership similar to a timeshare in underground shelter communities, is one of several ventures touting escape from a surface-level calamity. Radius Engineering in Terrell, Texas, has built underground shelters for more than 3 decades, and business has never been better, says Walton McCarthy. Yes, Walton McCarthy, company president. Company sells fiberglass shelters that can accommodate 10 to 2,000 adults to live underground for 1 to 5 years with power, food, water, filtered air, he says. The shelters range from, now get this, $400,000 is your start price on one of these things, and they go up to $41 million. And that one's suitable for 750 people. We've doubled sales every year for 5 years, he says. Other shelter manufacturers include Hardened Structures of Colorado and Utah Shelter Systems, which also report increased sales. The shelters have their critics. Ken Rose, a history professor at California State University, Chico, and author of One Nation Underground, The Fallout Shelter in American Culture, says that underground shelters were a bad idea half century ago, and they're a bad idea now. He says a terrorist with a nuke in a suitcase pales in comparison to what the Cold War had to offer in the 1950s and 60s, which has the potential annihilation of the human race. Steve Davis, president of the Maryland-based All Hands Global Emergency Management Consulting, is also skeptical. All Hands has more than 100 public and private sector clients with emergency management and homeland security services. But maybe it's because I've gotten older. These people really want to live too much, don't they? I mean, I don't want to go to that much time, trouble, or money to live. He says the types of cataclysms envisioned by some shelter manufacturers are highly unlikely compared to what we know is going to happen. We know there's going to be a major earthquake someday on the West Coast. We know a hurricane is going to hit Florida, the Gulf Coast, the East Coast. We support reasonable preparedness. We don't think it's necessary to burrow into the desert. So I tell you, like I've told you before, folks, and this is... You've got all these people that are crazy enough to spend $400,000 to burrow down and live into some underground condo complex. I have to ask you, this is what I asked at Y2K. when all these people were building these shelters and the generators and storing up the food and all the rest of it, do we really want these people repopulating the earth? I mean, think about that for a moment. Do we really? Do we? If we're gonna have a fresh start of the human race, do we want these people starting over?
Hey, we survived.